Welcome to Vex Documentation. I initially wanted to make this series starting 4 years ago, except now we have one competition left, and I have to film something. So
Are you missing your better half?
Hmm?
Are you missing your other half?
No. Huh?
I'm saying, like, it looks like you need Marcy right now.
It's fine.
Where is Marcy? This is
He went to
fine.
baseball.
Oh. Oh my god. Oh my god.
As I'm saying, I wanted to film this 4 years ago, but didn't get a chance to because I didn't have a working camera. Now that I have one, and we have one competition left, I might as well document what we do here in Vex. So, here's the robot as he currently is. I'm going to make some modifications mainly to the intake, because the intake, although it works so much better than we expected, it could be a lot better. So, what Marcy and I thought we should do is add a sort of flipper mechanism out here in the front that flips down with inertia. So rather than getting stuck in the corner, as I will demonstrate shortly, it'll be able to reach farther and pick up the ball when it gets stuck back there. The 2020-2021 Vex game is called Change Up, and it takes place on a field that has a variety of goals. Each team has to try to get 3 in a row of owned towers. Now, for instance, this tower would be owned by blue because it's at the top, that one would be owned by blue because it's at the top, and then this one would be owned by red because red is at the top. If blue were to put this bottom ball on top, they would now own that tower and get extra points for having 3 in a row. Now, the field has a lot of towers, and because our school is very small and we don't exactly have a lot of space, we have 3. And like almost no field. So to deal with that, we just spent the first hour or so cleaning as best as we could. If you think this is messy, you should have seen it earlier. Basically, we spent a lot of time cleaning up the field to get it to this point, and now that Marcy left to go to do baseball practice, I'm going to try to show you guys what's going on with our robot and come up with ideas on how to fix it. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, our robot Jamie has a few issues. Not many of them are all that great, because we can fairly easily come up with solutions for them. The first main problem that I see right now is that this intake roller doesn't have the rubber band spaced out very well, so that's a really simple fix. Just do that. Oh, and we don't have enough, so we'll just have to find some more somewhere. But it seems to be functioning good enough for the time being, so that's not the most pressing problem. And the main issue that we're trying to fix is that sometimes in the corner towers, sometimes the balls get pushed all the way to the side, or in most cases just get pushed as far from the outside as possible. Now, when this happens, most teams can de-score the ball regularly with the intake rollers. Now, for our robot, we can't exactly get too far because we end up hitting the side of the field, as on this side, which stresses the motor and doesn't pick up the ball, and this side doesn't get grip on the ball. So, a solution to that Marcy and I were thinking is to add a second layer of success for our intake. So we put sort of something, we rebuild kind of this, except instead of having wheels, it's going to have a flipper, and it's going to start vertical and then with inertia fall down like this, giving us an extra few inches of reach, which should be more than enough to get the ball, hopefully. The difficult part is figuring out how to connect the chain to a mechanism that can go vertical. And I don't really know how to do that off the top of my head, so we will see. And now I will have to demonstrate how a robot can de-score, if I'm able to successfully do that, as long as the motor's cooled down. Launching the program, you can see that the intake's been ridiculously fast and can just pull the ball in. And once we do that, we can lift it through the tower. Can't exactly see it all too well on the video, but there's this little trapdoor that flips up to get out of the way because there's a size limit and we can't have it be extended before the round's starting. I'll get a close-up of that later because I can't really show it in the video very well. So here we go surround the ball, we pull it like that, and then we can probably readjust for you to get a better view. Go like this, and if everything goes to plan, score. And we have to do that really quickly, which is possible, but it won't be very easy to do unless we improve the functionality. Very hard to pilot the robot sideways so I can see what's happening on the camera as well, but yeah. Overall, I'd say that this isn't the best showcase of our robot, as I'm kind of just pointing out most of the issues, but this really lengthy drive chain for the tower doesn't always like to stay put. Sometimes this sprocket here likes to just jump out and then the chain just hangs loose, preventing the first two spinners, or in most cases just the first spinner, from functioning. This top one is controlled differently by a different motor with a different gear ratio, just so it spins faster than the other two and reduce the strain on the first motor. This one tends to not come loose because the chain's tighter. I tried making both of them even tighter than they are because they have a decent amount of give, but if we do that, then the strain on the motor is so great that the motor just overheats and refuses to work, because V5s aren't great. Marcy pointed out a problem that sometimes the intake rollers here, these, instead of picking up the ball, sometimes the motors just choose not to spin, which hasn't really happened at all besides once in my practice. So I figured out why, I'm fairly certain, and that's because the same problem that we used to have is that this side is built somewhat differently because we couldn't exactly fit it as perfectly as the other one. So this motor sometimes, this whole arm, sometimes hits the wheel and gets stuck. Though that's a really rare occurrence, so it's not too much of an issue. And once we get the roller on the top, I think we might be able to wire it up with rubber bands to make it more stable. So, hopefully. So this is very hard to get on video, but basically when you move up to this tower, this side gets pressed against the wall, and the motor doesn't always spin. Like in this case it's not, and this motor is, but it's not gripping the ball. So that's the main issue that we should be able to fix with the little flipper extenders. So hopefully that'll fix the problem. The ramp itself is also a little loose, because when we have a ball inside the robot, when it's up here with the ramp pressing it against that, look how much it bends the rubber bands. That's actually a good thing because it has more traction. But here, look, it barely even does anything to the roller. Like, they don't move at all. This ramp is so loose, the ball can just like slide up and down without these things gripping on. Like here, like look at that. It just falls. So we're planning on fixing that. Lots of things to fix. Kind of sounds like an exhaustive list, but it's sort of okay because most of them should be easy to fix, at least in theory. The ramp, I feel like this back wall of the ramp, I feel like could be closer to the intake, but I don't think we can really do that easily.
I could just extend something up here.
We could put a piece of metal between each of these
Yeah, 'cause that's
standoffs.
also
Because the ball doesn't need to fit perfectly, it just needs to be squished. Because like it's squished, but it could be more squished.
Oh yeah, because it's sort of like getting back there.
Yeah, it's a little bit
So it has
loose.
to be more squished.
Yeah, if it's like this, then it should go up even faster.
Yeah, so we just add more
Because like as it is, it barely even like bends the rubber band until it gets up here. If we constantly have it really bent, it should go up faster, and we should have...
right there, like just a small standoff, like where this nut is,
Okay.
and then just stretch rubber band out.
Okay, so I don't know how easy it is to see inside the robot, but basically I've removed all the rubber bands that made the back of the ramp, and I've removed all of the ramp holders from this side besides the top one and the very bottom one. Now my goal is going to be to put a very lengthy piece of metal such as this connecting from this top one to the very bottom one, and then adding more standoffs at slightly different intervals along this bar, so we can have a ramp that's just closer to the intake rollers. I don't know if it's going to work, but there's only one way to find out, and that's through testing. After a sad amount of time, with some assistance, I was finally able to get the ramp slightly extended. Apparently, this standoff was stripped and I couldn't find any replacements, so we had to power through. But it is now extended by one small standoff, so it should hopefully be closer, so the rubber bands will grip the ball more tightly. Now, I need to repeat that on the other side, and I have almost no time to do it. So, we'll see. It's beautiful.
Ankle buster. Hey, knows one pucker. It's going off. Suck my babe. It's moving around too. It moves this way.
Unfortunately, there was not enough time to finish the other side of the ramp because I had only 10 minutes left and I had to find all the parts in a pile of random things, so not the easiest thing to do. So I'll continue that in 2 days on Thursday, and hopefully we'll get a working robot, and maybe Marcy will make a longer cameo in that video.